So what we are going to do today is it'll be on Xcode, the basic introduction, what this tool is about, what we can do with this tool. Okay, what all things we have with this tool. So the moment you open Xcode, you would be seeing this screen where, like, on the right side of this, if you have any projects, it will show you the history. On the left side, you could see the first one is get started with the playground. So I think in later lessons we'll actually go through how we can run a code on the playground. Now you can uh, actually make UI component to be played on the showed on the playground. And this is the basic thing which we will be interacting most of the time, creating a new Xcode project. And if you have a Git repository, we'll click on this and you will clone it directly to Xcode. So what we will do, we'll go with the second option today. So when you click on this, this is the window which you will be seeing. So what all we have on this window? We can create a single view application. Majority of the times we'll be going with this. So this will give us a simple template from where we can start. Then you have, if you're building a game, then you will get this game template. And then we have augmented reality apps. Then this is master detail app. This I can actually highlight it. On iPad, you would have seen, like, on the landscape mode, if you go, you have one view here, and you click on anything, and then there's a detail page on the landscape. We see that. So if you want to build any application like that, you don't have to go in a single view application mode. You can actually go in the master detail app. It will give you a basic template for that. So you can actually start working on the classes there itself. Then you have page-based apps. Page-based apps, if I'll give you an example, you would have seen an introductory, what is that? What we can call that is, whenever you wanted to actually know about the app, they initially give you a walkthrough of that. Okay, so you would have seen the dots in the bottom, like, which will give you, if you want to build something like that, you can go ahead with the page, and then the tabbed apps, you will get a basic tabs on the bottom, and you can play around with it. And if you are actually doing the stickers and all that. And on the top, if you see, this is only where in the section iOS section. We have other sections if you want to build for watchOS. If you are building for tvOS, macOS, we have basic set of platforms which are available. You could see here, you can actually go ahead and create a framework, or if you are planning to create a library. And if you are actually building a cross platform, you have then again basic templates. Okay, so for today's session, we'll focus on this iOS, and we'll go with the single view application. When you click next, it again gives you a one template where you could see the product name. Product name is the project name, which is the team section. And if we go to organization, then you can have your company name basically. And if we go to organization identifier, your bundle identifier starts from the backside, Gourav, com.gouravnayyar. Your product name. So product name, let's create a hello world app, like we do in all the projects. And did you see the bundle identifier? It will be like com.gouravnayyar.hello world. Okay. And now this is the language selection. Apple still gives you the selection of Swift and Objective-C. Okay. So for this tutorial, again, we'll go with the Swift. Okay. Now, if you see the other checkboxes which are available here, what all we have is, you have use core data. Okay. This is used when you wanted a local storage. Okay. For this tutorial, we'll not focus on this. Include unit test. So this will actually add a basic template for that. You can still go ahead and start writing it there. It will give you a basic template, and then include UI test. Okay. So this is all we have here. And we are keeping this all checks. We will not mark any of these checks for today's tutorial. We'll go ahead. And now you could see it will give you where you wanted to actually save it. Okay. So I'll go in my sample projects. I'll just create. Okay. You can save it to the respected place wherever you wanted to. And this is the screen once you actually create a basic template. When we say single view application, this is what we would be seeing. Okay, so what we will talk on this screen is different things, like you have a status bar. So let's start from the left top. You have a play button here. So this is to actually build and run your current project. Okay, once you have created, and this is to stop. Okay, this is the selection where since we created a single view application, this is the hello world, and this will give you all the available simulators for you. And if you have connected a device, it will say here the device is connected. This is also I will show you after some, like in the coming tutorials. So here you have, if you wanted to add additional simulators, sometimes what happens is you don't have required simulators in the list. Then you can go and click on the additional simulators and you can add. You can specify which OS version you want, which device you want. You can customize that here. And if you wanted to download, say like the new simulators has come, you can actually download. It will show you the list. And here we have other things which says edit scheme, new scheme, manage scheme. This also we'll talk later, because this is called as a scheme, the very first thing, hello world. And we will talk about why and when you need to edit a scheme, when you need to add a new scheme and manage scheme later in the tutorials. So this is the first part of it. Then we'll go and we'll come to this status bar. If you see the status bar here, which says your app name, and it says it's ready, and it shows you the time and all. I might have installed some extensions which will give me the time and all that. I don't know if it is showing on all the machine. It does that, correct? So there's nothing additional I have added. So this status bar, what it does is, whenever you build a project, so I showed from the play button, you would be building and running the project. So you could see it will give you the status of the app. It is building this. It is trying to launch Hello World on iPhone X. Correct? You could see that. What we will do, we'll stop it. And here I could just wanted to show what all this would be showing, this section of the Xcode. This will give you the proper status of the where the project is. Okay. Now in Xcode 10, in Xcode 9, it was on a different place. This is something which is called object library. You have different options here, though. Even I think I have not used this. Say like label if I need. Okay. I think this part will go maybe a little later. Okay. This is the killer. So if we go here, this section of it, it will give you a snippet library and a media library. Okay. If you wanted to have a media, you could see here. Okay. This is the list view and the grid view. Again, if you wanted to have a snippet library, you will have, say, like a couple of things which will come ready-made for you. So if I'll take an example, so dispatch queue. What exactly a dispatch queue? It's a block at this point of time, some set of code, which is a snippet, which you can actually put and you can add your own custom values to access it. And now we'll go to this part of sorry. So this is the standard editor. Standard editor is what exactly we would be seeing on the editor when this option we have. Okay. So this second part, which I wanted to show, it's quite interesting. Like you can have an assistant editor. Assistant editor, when I say, so assume I have any class open. Okay. So what will happen? Like I wanted assistant editor, one more editor, like I can have two classes at the same time. So sometimes what happens is you have two classes. One class, you can keep it for reference, like what exactly you wanted to see. And then you might be having a similar implementation, like you wanted to see how the implementation is done in one class and the other class you wanted to see right on the basis of the first class, just for the reference purpose. Okay. I think before going to this part, let me tell you like what exactly we get on the navigation pane. This is the navigation pane. Okay, it will say the project navigator. This first part, there are multiple settings here, multiple buttons here. We would be interacting on few of them. So I'll explain what exactly and when we would be using that. Project navigator, when we create a simple basic application, what it would be giving us is a simple template where they will have, this is the first class, app delegate. It will create a basic view controller. Then we will have, this is something which is called storyboard. So your view related things will come here. Okay, view related things will come here. So you can have buttons. We will see like down the line, like how we are creating buttons and all that. This is called a set. Here, like what all icons you want in the app, you would be adding it here. Then you have a launch screen. You would have seen like in the basic iPhone application, there is first screen which comes and then the application starts. So what Xcode has done, it has segregated, like it has given you a launch screen, you design it here. And if you wanted to specify it for different sizes and all, I'll show you that. And this is the info.plist. Okay, this is the property list file, which will initially say like if you want a permission from a user for camera. So you need to mention like your application is asking for that here, well before you start using that functionality within the app. So like that, anything if related to location also, you need to mention it here. Okay, so what we are doing is we are going through the basic introduction part of, anyways I'm recording so it will be helpful. Okay, so info.plist will have all the initial set of requirement for your app. You need to mention it, and this is something which cannot be changed on the runtime. Like you cannot like write it in the, this has to be done well before you decide you want to build your app and what exactly should be there in your app. Okay, and this is the product folder where like when you build it, you will get a .app file. So this is very basic flow when you actually create a single view application. Okay, what I wanted to show you is, let's go to app delegate class. So what we will talk about here is application lifecycle. Okay, so take an example, like you all are using phone, correct? And you have app on your phone. So application, when it lies on the phone, it has a state. Like there are different states when we talk about application state. Initially, it is in the kill state. It is not doing anything. It is just lying on your phone. So here we have some delegate methods. If you actually look closely, let's start from the bottom up. What will happen? So, or what we will do, let's start from here only. From the top, it would make more sense. So did finish launch. So assume your application is there on the phone. You clicked on it. So there is a delegate which will get called for that. So which is called did finish launch with the option. So this is the very first method when you launch. So your application will come from the kill state to active state. Okay. So this is the very first time where you are, I will show you like how to add breakpoints and all. This is where you will lie. Okay. And here the explanation is also given. See, the sent when the application is about to move from active to inactive state. So when we say application will resign active, sometimes what happened, the moment you wanted to go to the background, you wanted to save some data. So where you will do, so this is the method where you actually will try to add information into this. So next method is application did enter background. So if we actually read what exactly is written here, use this method to release shared resources, saved user data. So what you will do, this is like your application has entered the background now. You click the home button, or if you are on iPhone X, you just swipe from the bottom. So your application from the active state, it is entering to the background state. And once it has entered to the background state, there is some time, some amount of time where like application app, Apple will let your application stay in the background. So then if you wanted to do certain operations, like your data is saved, you wanted to okay, release some resources, and if you wanted to actually finish up some work, invalidate timers. Timers are the crucial components. I will talk about that also later. So that everything you would be doing in application did enter background. Then we have application will enter foreground. This is the state when you clicked on the home button and your application went to the background, and then you clicked on it again, so it pops up. So that time also there are multiple resources you wanted to actually give it to your application to start with. So in that case, you will be actually going to this delegate to perform any operation. So this is the place where you will get all the information what to do. Then we have application did become active. So this is again, like you are now, we'll say application will enter foreground. There is a this will and then did enter. So you are it before going, it will actually notify this delegate like I'm about to enter the foreground, and this is like did become active. Now your application is active. Okay, so if you have paused any task, you can restart here. Okay, and then the last one is application will terminate. Okay, this is the delegate which will get called when application is about to terminate. When there are crashes in your application, that time this may or may not actually. Most of the time you will not get any information here, because I'll give you one example when the crash can happen. You have an array which has 10 elements. You are trying to access the control. So what will happen? There is an out of bound array error. So that time your application will throw you out. Correct? That time this will get called or not? This will get called when we are actually manually triggering the terminate option. And one more scenario I told, your application will go in the background. Okay, and Apple will let your app to stay in the background for a while. That time will it get triggered or not? What we will do, we'll actually do the examples, like when it is getting called or when it is not getting called. So
Gaurav, which is the kill state here, resign active.
one second.
Killing the app from the background.
So this is like application will terminate.
And what is resign active then?
Okay.
Second one.
See here, if we actually read this description, this says sent when the application is about to move from active to inactive state. Okay, there is this can occur for certain types of temporary interruptions, such as incoming phone call. So you are using an application, you get an incoming phone call or a SMS, assume, on the top, and you click. So what has happened? Your application has entered into the state where like the inactive state, correct? Active to inactive state. This is the delegate which will get called. This we will all will experience it now. Like I don't have the cable as of now, else I will show you.
So enter background is keeping the app in background and terminate is in kill state.
Yes, yes. We'll pause the recording for a while. I'll get the cable and we'll actually try to go through these methods when and all it is getting called, correct, for more clarity. So I'll pause the audio. So where we were like we wanted to check the app states when and all which method is getting triggered. So what we will do, this is how you will add breakpoints into your you can try on your Xcode as well. Like you can open the Xcode and add the breakpoints. I'll show you. You have different options on the breakpoint also. If you right click, you can actually edit a breakpoint. You can disable a breakpoint, delete, or the reveal in the project navigator. So if you do, it will show you all the breakpoints which you have added throughout the project. Okay, this is how you add it. You have a conditional. When you say edit breakpoint, you have see conditions here. Right click and click on the first edit breakpoint. So can you all see the conditions? It will tell you like the class name, on which line number you are in. It will say what condition you wanted to add. So I'll give you a very basic example when you wanted to add a condition. So assume you have a loop or you have a conditional check where you have a I value which is going from 0 to 20. but you wanted it to get triggered only when the I value reaches 11. So that time what you say is, I have a conditional breakpoint here. Don't get triggered when I value is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But the moment it will reach 11, get triggered. So this is one type of condition. You can add different types of conditions. Say like, if the object is of type this, then get triggered. So sometimes what we'll talk about inheritance concept and all that later, and then we can see like what all we can add. You can actually play around with it and see like what all things are there. Maybe later when once we have good understanding of things, we can relate it like what all we can do here. There are multiple options here. Shell command, you can do it. We'll actually keep one session only on breakpoints, like how we can actually do debugging and how it can be useful. So you have anybody else's code you wanted to go through, how it will become easy for you to understand what is the flow. Okay, so what we have done is here, if you see in the selection thing, I have selected iPhone X simulator and I have it on to my right side. Since I have already ran once, I could see the simulator. So on your machine, if you hit the run button, you can see the hello world application. We have not done anything in the application, so we see blank. So now you see here, like we have breakpoints. The very first method which is getting triggered is the application did finish launching. Okay, and now if this is where I will be dealing with the breakpoints. This is if I wanted to actually step over. This is like I wanted to continue the program execution. So this is where I will be. Okay, I will tell you the other options we have. You could see here like the debug view hierarchy. If we wanted to do, we have options, and then we have memory graphs if you wanted to see, and the if you wanted to simulate a location, some location. Okay, these are all the different options you have here. Okay, so what we will do, I will do the continue program execution. Okay, now you realize application was in inactive state. Okay, previously. So as I explained the delegate methods, you should have clear understanding of this. So I told the initially when the app launches, so this is the one which will actually tell you the application did become active. So did finish launching with the options, the very first delegate which is getting called. If you click on this, now you can click on this continue program execution. Okay, now what has happened, your application was not in active state and it has become active. So this is the place where your application, your control will come, program control. And you could read this. It will say restart any task and any paused operations. So your application has started. So you can start any task here. Now, what I will do, so this is where you will see the application. So since it's iPhone X, I can just swipe. Okay. So what did I do? I entered to the here. This is the delegate which is getting called. Which is application will resign active. Okay, this if you read the text, will resign active is sent the application sent when the application is about to move from active to inactive state. Okay, so this will say like your application has gone into the background. We didn't get any call and all, but even when you get a call, what happens is your application you go to the home page and launch another app. So this is the delegate which is getting called. Okay, and then it'll say this is the will like it will get into that state, and this identifies your application has entered background now. So now you could see here your hello world is here, which is there in the background. So this will say your application is in background. Now you wanted to do or release some shared resources, you wanted to save any user data. Sometimes what happens is you're filling a form, then you went to did enter background. When the user comes back again and you feel like some pre-filled information you have to give, this is the place where you would be giving it. And I will again continue execution. Your application is in background. How we can see? I'll go here and I'll get this menu here. I think you should be getting it. Okay, this hides. Okay, my bad. Okay, what we can do is let's get back to this again. Okay, I have got two simulators, which is funny. Let's kill this. Okay, here Now, if when I'll click, now application is in background, how will get to know? You swipe it from the bottom, you could see here is this list of applications which are there in the background. In our case, only one. I can launch it directly clicking here, or I can go and click here. When I click here, what it will say, your application will enter foreground. So this is a delegate well before it will call when your application is coming to the foreground. Okay, this is the delegate where you wanted to do any this. See, let's read this text which is written, called as part of transition from background to the active state. Here you can undo many of the changes made on entering the background. So when you entered the background, you might have made some changes. Okay, this data should be hidden, this data you should want it to capture. You can redo the operations according to the requirement of the app here when you're coming from the background. Okay, and then it will call application did become active. So how in iOS development, you will see when we'll go to view controllers also, you'll see there is a will, delegate, and the read. So there are some operations when the view is not yet come to the picture, you wanted to do the operations. And there are other parts where, like, once you're confirmed, your view is in the picture and you wanted to do operations. Okay, so this is the application delegate. We can play around with this on our own.
So application did become active. Say if you execute did finish launching, then it will simultaneously execute did become active also after launching because the application is in active state.
Yes.
Okay, and application will still be inactive when it is in background, right?
It will stay. Here it is. Application did enter background.
So,
okay. So in the background state, what happens is your application will here. If I'll give you actually see if we read this text, it will make more sense. Application did enter background. Okay. Now your application is in the background. So you wanted to see what all operations we can do because your application in the background stays for some amount of time.
But inactive state.
Okay, it will go to mostly it is recommended to do minimum set of operations that time. So you can still, if you want to write data into it, you could do those operations faster. But if you want to compute some information and all that, it is not recommended to do it.
Okay. So my question here is, application did become active is not only when the application is in foreground. When it is in background also, it will be in active state, right?
It will stay for some time. Okay, but again, the delegate it says is your application is going to be from active to inactive. So you do your operations. Okay, I'll tell you the best part with this is what you do is you now since you all know like how you can run it on this. You put the breakpoints, you know how to do that. Play around with this. We'll get more information like when it is getting and read it one more time. If you don't understand, we can discuss it one.
Can you send us this project, like the sample project?
No, this is like the basic project, which I'll share you the video. So the steps are there. You can actually do that. Okay.
Because resign active is the one which will bring application from active to inactive. So when it is in background, the application is still in active state. It is not.
It doesn't go to inactive state. Yeah. Yes. So we'll move forward. I wanted to show you this debug part. Okay. So let's go to background state, and here you could see like this is the first part which says continue program execution. Okay. This is like directly you wanted the control to move from here and continue. But if you assume if you have some multiple set of lines here, and if you have a method call, which is actually calling some other class, that time what happens is you will say like here, if you wanted to step over is if you have multiple lines of code, you wanted to go, and if you are calling some other class method from here, assume. Okay, this will practice in the when we actually get into the project, that time also will practice this. This is just to take a taste of it, like what all you can do with the breakpoints. And here again, this is something you have the view navigator. This is also one of the great things which I think you should just see here. So since we launched, whenever we hit a breakpoint, we get like we could, if we hit on this point, what it will show us is view hierarchy. Okay, like what you have. So what this say, if you wanted to debug the view area. So I think there was a way to actually okay, this from this point of time you can actually, if you wanted to, there was one place, just give me a moment. Okay. Okay, so here if you look, what we can do with this is, okay, so this is how you get into this state. Okay, you wanted to try, I was thinking like you guys will also have Xcode project ready with you. Okay, anyways, so what you can do, so you can, this is the view debug. If you wanted to do, sometimes what happens is you wanted to draw something on the view, and you actually wanted to see where exactly it belongs. Okay, so how you will get into this state is, you run your project, you should hit the breakpoint basically. Okay, because you should be in the debug. Yes. Okay, let's see, let me launch it here. Fine. So here we were talking about, you have step over and all these options. This is the view debug. You click on it, you will get it. Okay. And if with this, say like, you will tap and you could see what all there. If right now we have a single view. Okay. So what we are seeing here is only one view. If you see here, only one window is there, and then you have a view. So one view is there. And you can have any number of subviews. Say like you have added a button and all that information, you have a subview and all. You can add multiple things, correct, on the view. You have controls, all those things. You could see like where exactly they lie. Sometimes what happens is this becomes very handy if your view is shrinking. I will speak about AutoLayout concept where like you can design it for different devices. Okay. Now here you could see like if something is going, sometimes you feel like, okay, you have added a subview, you should see that, but actually in the view hierarchy it is behind some view. So while debugging you won't get it, because what you will try from your coding expertise, you will see like you are adding it to the view, but why it is not showing, this can become very handy in that case. Okay, and this will give you additional information. If you go to the right pane of it, it will tell you what all information you have, a class UI window, this is the view on the top. Okay, the tint color information, it will give you all that. If you have any constraints and all that, right now we haven't not added, but it will show you like the view is 375 812, like that, X position, Y position, and other information. And these are the, this also will discuss content hugging priority and compression systems priority, how it works. Okay, so this is debug area, how we can actually handle the or deal with the breakpoints. Okay, what we will do, since we ran the application on the simulator, let's try to build a simple application with one label. Okay, and if I think I'll take 10 more minutes and we'll close this session, and then we'll work on the other part of it. Okay, so open the storyboard. Okay, and okay, yeah, okay, this thing is the object library for you. Everybody has this thing, storyboard open. Okay, open the storyboard. You can what you can do is close. This is the first pane where you want to go. We'll discuss about other buttons tomorrow. Okay, so first you will go to main storyboard, and here on the top right, okay, the very first button is object library, top right. Okay, right here you can have object library. You click on it. What we wanted is label here, so you get a label. Okay, You get the label here. You place it somewhere here. So for now, for today's session, what we will do, wherever you wanted to place it there, and then you can click on the bottom. You could see there are different buttons. This also will speak tomorrow, like what exactly it is. On the bottom, you could see here, here you have the last button where you can add actually the constraints. Constraints is basically, for today, we'll keep in mind where we wanted to keep our label on the view when we have different sizes of simulators or devices, correct? So what I will do is I'll go ahead and I'll say add missing constraint. This is specific to view. This is all the views in the view controller. So since we wanted to do that, we'll just add. So this, what it is doing is it is giving the basic constraints which are required. You could see here we are getting a warning which says trailing constraint is missing. Okay, we'll just add it because tomorrow we'll discuss about it, how we can actually work on the layout part. Okay, now assume when I run it, how it should look on the simulator is, okay, I'll disable the breakpoints from here. See here, I didn't show this part. You can disable the breakpoints because the breakpoints will hit it. So you can just directly disable and you can click on the next button to continue the execution. And you can see your label here. Okay, why AutoLayout coming into the picture is now you go to the project navigator and try to select iPad, any of the iPads. For me, the different set of iPads are available. So okay, it takes time. See here, now what has happened, you could relate the layout of the iPhone. It was somewhere here, correct? On the iPad also it stayed here. It should not, correct? Because our UI on the phone was like our label is in the center position. Okay, so here also our label should be in the center position where we are expecting. This is not the place where we are expecting it. So we'll end today's session here itself, and tomorrow we'll talk about like how we can build. Today we didn't actually give our label name also, hello world. So we'll continue working on the hello world application. Okay. Okay, fine. What I wanted to do is, where is my Zoom? Okay.